Brothers and sisters, frame of mind is very important in our life. How I'm sure we all feel inside, how we think, is a crucial factor in how it translates into actions. And actions is the only thing that matter. Actions based on Iman, but it is the deeds and action we bring on the Day of Judgment that we carry from this very short life that we live on this earth is what matters. But what we think we become, what we, as they say, our inner self is important. That's why the whole importance of attending to our qalb, our mind, our heart, purifying our thoughts, so that good actions can come and we can grow in our lives. And indeed, for that reason, when we begin to read Al-Quran, it says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, this is the book, there's no doubt in it. هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ is guidance for the muttaqeen. The first thing is الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. They believe in the unseen. They believe in this thing that nobody has experienced or seen as such, which scientific methods do not show us. But that is what they believe in, the unseen. To get guidance from this book, this is the first and foremost requirement and the first and foremost quality mention of the muttaqeen. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. And then comes the establishment of salah. Then they establish prayer. And they spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they have yaqeen in this accountability, in this standing before the Lord after this life and meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are the successful ones. So again, you can see it all begins by having that belief in the unseen, acquiring that conviction, that sense of belief. And also we read Surah Al-Asr. I'm sure we all have learned and have looked at this very brief surah that gives the whole essence, kind of gist of our lives and the truth that indeed man is in loss except those who believe and then do the righteous deed. إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Again, it all begins with belief. Once we believe in something, then, as they say, the magic starts. You know, whether in one life you want to achieve something, anyone who does anything, it all begins by seeing something, as if you see something and believe in something. But right frame of mind is difficult, as we all in nowadays, getting that correct frame of mind and having a heart, as they say, heart and mind at the right place, and keeping it at the right place is even more difficult. Because believe, whether we like it or not, we live in a society which is very much driven by constant pressure of need to have more, to want more, to have everything now, immediately, and having no unpleasant thoughts that's considered as bad, having no bad experiences, because that's not happiness. Happiness is ultimate goal to live. And as a result, we get into what they call the happiness trap, and we become more and more unhappy. And as we wake up often, many of us don't want this another day. We don't see any purpose or point. We see only struggle. Life sucks, as they say, becomes a thought in our mind. It's like a routine you're just going through without seeing the great ni'mah and the blessings and the opportunities that are with us on daily basis, moment by moment, hour by hour. And life ticks. We cannot stop time. Time runs, life ticks. We grow older year after year. And then the clock stops and we leave this earth. This is the reality of generations. And this reality will remain because this is the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created our life and the life on this earth. So how do we when we forget in all of this that, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا, that there is actually a test in all of this. He says, indeed, He has created, He mentions death first, interestingly. خلق الموت, He created death, والحياة, and life. ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا, to see who is best, أحسن, the best in amal, in deeds. This is the examination paper. This is a test. And just like many of us have set exam papers, when you go into the examination room, you get a paper and you have a clock, clock is put in front of you. We get our watches out, we put there, because we know how important time is. Every second that ticks matters. And we have to go through the whole examination paper. And we strategize sometimes, depending how much we revised. We look at which questions have big marks and which have a small question which we can answer easily, but we strategically work second by second to actually finish this paper as best as we can. And sometimes when you haven't really done any work, you've already given up, you go there, you write your name, you look at the examination paper, and some students unfortunately have no other choice but to just walk out before even the time runs out. They take an exit life is very similar. Some give up on life very quickly. There's no purpose, no point of continuing. We know that in very affluent societies. There's a lot of opportunities. But good thing is, in the test Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set for us, and this is the good news, we've all come with our revisions. We've given all the tools. We know all the subjects. And there is, because it's la yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha. We've not placed on any soul more than what it can bear. It will live. It will live and will strive. لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. For him is what he has earned, he has striven for, and against him is whatever he has earned, not wrongly or rightly. So in both ways it is our actions that matter. So time ticks, brothers and sisters. It's very important we treat it like that examination paper. And the good news is also that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at is our effort. Sa'i. He says, one, you make the effort, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, that's why He's Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the merciful, the mercy giving. So it's not one of those examiners who's sitting there who'll just look at your marks, but He actually brings rahmah and maghfirah. He says that those who strive, even who do the best of the deeds, striving on this earth, doing jihad, highest of the deeds, struggle in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to uphold justice and truth and give their lives for it. It says, يَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. He will forgive them their sins because they've striven hard for good things. يَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَيُدْخِلْكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ وَمَسَاكِنَ طَيِّبَةً فِي جَنَّاتِ عَدْنٍ ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ. This is the greatest. So people achieving the greatest achievements, they will also need their sins to be forgiven, because we're all sinners at the end of the day, brothers and sisters. So in terms of keeping this focus, like any examination that we attend in life we treat like an exam paper. And we keep focused. We have good news. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us all the things that we need to succeed. But how do we keep this focus, because we go through a life where it's very easy to just lose that focus in terms of what really matters ultimately. And here I would just very briefly share this one hadith, which is in Abu Dawood, hadith narrated by Muaz bin Jabal radiyallahu an. And he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once held his hand and he said, Ya Muaz, Wallah inni la uhibbak, Allah, I love you very much. And then he said, I would like to advise you, Ya Muaz, that you must not لا تدعنا it says do not forget to say this dua at the end of every prayer. في دبر كل صلاة تقول اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. Do not forget to say this dua at the end of every prayer. And the scholars differ. Does it mean before we say salam, we say this dua? Or after we have finished our prayer, we say this dua? But whichever opinion you take, but we say this dua towards the end of our prayer or after our prayer. This is what Prophet ﷺ recommended Mu'adh, because he loved him. Now see how the hadith comes. Because I love you, let me advise you. Usik ya Mu'adh, I'll advise you. Do not forget. Do not leave doing this action. Remember this one dua. Allahumma a'inni, O Allah, help me, support me, aid me, assist me, ala dhikrik, to remember you. First thing is ala dhikrika, to remember you. And second thing is wa shukrika, and to be grateful to you. And wa husni ibadatik, and to excel, make good my worship of you, my obedience of you, my service of you. And I think that is the focus, brothers and sisters, that we need. And subhanAllah, prayer itself is for remembrance, to keep that focus. But the Rasulullah, in addition to that, gives us another beautiful dua to remember, because that is really the cycle. You know, when we can learn to just remember Allah in our daily routine, our life, prayer itself is remembrance, but remembering Allah often. Faskuruni azkurukum, and you remember me, I will remember you. If we remember this thing, that when we remember Allah, He remembers us. That's His promise for Al-Baqarah. Faskuruni azkurukum. If you remember me, I will remember you. Just knowing this fact, that when we're remembering Him, He is remembering us. And remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala simply means getting that big focus and perspective of life as to where we come from, who oversees everything, who is aware of who is doing what to you, who is aware of what we are doing things to others, who is aware of how we earn our living, how we spend, how we forgive, how we forget, and who is aware of all affairs. And all affairs are controlled by Him. Nothing happens without His permission. Not even a leaf falls without His permission. So that is the remembrance of Allah in that context, getting that focus. And you know, they say sometimes that nowadays a lot of people talk about motivation. We don't have motivation to do things. How do we get the motivation? And this theory that quite often it is the action that gives rise to motivation, and some, you know, when you start acting. So shukr is the second thing, which we are asking Allah to help us to be grateful. It's not that we are saying we will be grateful, but again, how beautiful this dua is, that we are asking Him to help us to be able to get this frame of mind, this correct approach and attitude in life. Shukr is gratitude, and we lack gratitude. This is the insan, human weakness. We are very quick to be ungrateful. You know, we all, mashallah, are here, we are alive, we are sitting here, we have been blessed with this day of Friday. We got up this morning. I don't know how we all got up, what we thought when we got up this morning. But how many of us thought that, you know, 6-7 hours sleep that we had, this little, as they say, flesh, this in our body, which is called heart, which is constantly working, actually pump blood into our body around 25,000 times whilst we were just asleep. It did that much work and delivered us into another day of our life. So this is just one little thing that's happening within us. And if those beats had been missed, or heart decided to take a little bit of a rest, you know, would be cause of great concern if even 2 or 3 were missed. That would be going to have an ECG and so on, because it's not. But it worked for 25,000 times. Remember the number. 6 to 7 hours sleep roughly. Heart will beat that many times. Does every night, and throughout the year, 365 nights, and throughout the week it is doing this. And let me not mention all the other things that are happening within us. And then we look around us, how much opportunities Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us on a daily basis for us to do dhikr, to do ibadah, to do worship, to do good deeds, to spend money in His way, and amazing rewards by doing these good deeds. So this is the shukr. And finally, husn ibadah. Again, it's not, the dua isn't to help me to worship of yours, but to excel and beautify my worship of yours. And this is where the question comes that, each one of us on a daily basis have choices to make in terms of even deeds, the deeds of high value. And we're all looking for that strategy as to how I can have greater impact, even for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What can I do best for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to bring people to Him, to bring my own children to Him, to make them aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make them better Muslims. And daily life, in relationships, what should I do? I'm in a bit of trouble in this relationship. What can I do? Again, there's a good action there we can do to solve problems. So asking Allah to not just do good deeds, but really good deeds which will help us to grow and move forward. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to keep this focus on daily basis. And this focus comes by remembering Him, learning gratitude and action. Good deeds. Little and small deeds, finding the best deeds for us. And quite often, they say your good deeds are right in front of you, which you can just grab and do. But we are reluctant to do. We lack courage sometimes. Sometimes it's our own arrogance that comes in the way. Our nafs and ana comes in the way, as they say. But quite often, the good deeds is in front of us, we can see. Do them, because that will enable us to grow bigger, taller, stronger, inshallah, and enjoy that halwa of iman and taqwa that we should have. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لي ولكم إنه الغفور الرحيم.